Hi, dear friends. Just want to make sure everything is fine. Happy New Year to everyone on Kodak Radio. This is a new year, new beginning for all of us to work a bit harder, to do much more than we have been doing, and also to be thankful to have Kodak Radio as this platform where we all can learn and study together. So that this year we know that our focus will be on studying, and not only that, but also to go out and be the hands of Jesus in this year. Today we're going to and start this year again with the book Jesus in Our Days. So to focus on our Master is very good for us, because when we focus on his teachings and his way of being, the Spirit's books brings us these beautiful stories and behind the scenes about Jesus. It is awe-inspiring to hear the first Christians talk about Jesus. And so the Spirit Joanna De Ângelis, through the medium Divaldo Franco, brought us this book, Jesus in Our Days. So we are starting off the year with Jesus and tolerance. And you would say that, yes, we had so many family members through Christmas and New Year, and tolerance will be explained in a beautiful way, as well as a psychology way, so that we can understand the depth of this. And she starts Jesus' intolerance, and she says, in terms of in-depth psychology, the issue of judging other people's wrongs is seriously inhumane act towards the one who erred. So she calls it an inhumane act. So just think about this. We have forgiveness as well. Tolerance is when someone are constantly bullied about their shortcomings. And if you think about it, inhumane means that not human yet. And Jesus showed us what it was to be human. The problem of a sin belongs to the one who committed it, who afterwards is subjected to a painful process of self-punishment, seeking even unconsciously to break free from the wrong that, as guilt, weighs so heavily on the conscience. So she's telling us that even though we would look at someone and think they don't care, that subconsciously the error that was committed will be their punishment, because everyone on earth knows what's wrong and right. We know, and in the Spirit's book, that Alan Kardec asked the questions to the spirits, which he says is that the laws of God is in our conscience. Let's continue. Guilt is perturbing shadow cast over the personality, and is responsible for the awful diseases that cause woes of various kinds. So with this sins, as they call it, or with these errors that we are committing as well, with that comes illnesses. And we know that we have to get rid of this energy, because we know as spiritists that everything is energy. So the energy of this, the guilt that we have, also the energy of this misfortune, of this what we did wrong, has to get out somewhere. So and the body is being used to admit all these wrongdoings. Engraved on the innermost panel of the individuality, guilt automatically programs its own reparation process. So we need to repair. or to go forward. So everything was put in place for us to go through these. I want to get the English name for it, but the purifying of our souls, of what we did, the purifying of ourselves, and the body and the incarnations are used so that we can get rid of all this wrongdoings that we have been doing for many years, and even in this incarnation. So she's also saying that every heartless act practiced through arbitrary judgment generates on its own accord dynamics of future affliction for accusers, themselves conscious, bearing the weight of many problems. So it's not only the one that is doing the wrong, it's also those who judge, who also admits this harsh energies to those who are still struggling. That's where our master comes in. And he is the beautiful example. Judging the actions of others is incorrect. Accusers project their own shadows in the form of self-justification, which will not rid them of their own blemishes. So we have to look at ourselves. And yes, sometimes we will look at someone and you will see all these struggles they go through. And yes, sometimes it's more ignorant than anything else because they chose to be that way. But we know that in our incarnation plan that everyone will have to, in some way or other, go and evolve. That is why God gives us this reincarnation, which is the most wonderful thing if you think about it. It is beyond loving that we ever can think about, that God gives us also so many opportunities to not only change ourselves, but to be part of His creation, to help those. Consciously tolerance for others and ourselves is a sine qua non. Sine qua non is essential. It means essential, personal, and fraternal therapy that enables us to grasp the difficulties of those who err and offer them a helping hand. As we accuse the judge and judge others' wrongs, we yield to the dark trade of pleasures, vengeance in pointing out weaknesses in other people, who always deserve the same compassion that we should expect for ourselves in similar situations. She's explaining that it's not always, it is not easy, it's wrong to constantly remind someone of their errors. We are not talking about someone who is stealing and telling them to steal is not okay. We are not talking about that. There are instances that there's things that's happening that you have to speak and say, no, this is not okay, because we have to speak up as well. And that is not to remind someone that they are wrong, but sometimes, yes, there's some things that has to be talked about and to work with. So that's not what she's talking about. She's talking about our daily struggles with people. Jesus was always very strict when teaching those who judged other people's behavior. And that's the thing. In our daily lives, yes, there are many examples that we can look at. But then we go to the Spirit's books and we can know the behind the scenes of spirits and of reincarnation, and we know about obsessions. And that gives us a bigger picture so that we can understand things much clearer, which means that we then are responsible in helping, like she says, to pray, to assist, to always think about, not in a harsh way, but in a way of that someone needs help. Of course, there are courts and appointed authorities in charge of the moral cleansing of society. They are responsible for catching and judging criminals using re-educational means that are never punitive. Is punitive? Yes. Because otherwise they would be guilty of identical, if not more serious crimes. Judging the person is a manifestation of the ignorance of the cause of problems, and it demonstrates the moral primitive, primitive, primitivism of humans who still act like wolves towards others. I think in the social media we can see what is happening, because if you go through social media, you will see the comments of people, and it is saddening to see that it is like she's explained. It's like wolves ascending on a person because they don't agree on a subject or something, whatever. The master used an ignorant image of those who have a plank in their own eye, yet see a speck in the eye of their neighbor. The illustration is powerful in its inaccessible clarity. It does not leave room for any evasion of responsibility. When faced with afflicted, wayward, wicked, and maniacal multitudes, he did not judge them, but was taken with compassion. He helped them instead. Of course, he did not solve every problem or assist all those who wanted him to. Nonetheless, he was compassionate and loved them, enveloping everyone in tenderness, always teaching the means of liberation to find peace. In the first chapter, she's telling us about judgment, tolerance, and how we judge. And the second piece, she's giving us the example of Jesus and what he did while he was on earth, incarnated. So his example shows us that yes, he couldn't help everyone. There was very harsh spirits incarnated on earth, but we know that he never judged. He loved everyone. And in what happened to him, he still asked God to forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. And in a mindset we as spiritists know, because of obsessions and choices people make, they are in a mindset that they can't listen. They are not wake up enough to see what is going on sometimes around them. So in that, we know that they will be helped eventually, because God doesn't give up on anyone. And even if it's for many, many incarnations to come, but we know that there will come a day when this spirit, this creation of God, will be a pure spirit. And if you read the books like Renunciation, the spirit that came and was reincarnated, she said that she doesn't judge because she went through the same. So if we look at ourselves, beloved friends, and that is a good thing to to take the mirror and look at our own lives, and then see if we can really judge. To know ourselves, we know that everyone is on their own. Yes, sometimes it's hard and we have to speak up. But in which way? Because Jesus, he was educating. He was educating everyone where he went since he was a small child. But how did he do it? And that is the thing that we have to practice. And not in judgment way, in a judgmental way, but in a way of giving love to actually really care about the soul to help them to evolve. So, and that is what we have to go and look at ourselves. So let's just do the last one is she says, have compassion on those who err. Their conscience will be their judge. And we know how hard and sometimes how through what a soul must go because of their errors and what they chose to do. Help those who stumble. Their weakness is already their punishment. Tolerate wrongdoers. They are your future. Should you not be strong enough to proceed rightly? So sometimes, and we have examples of spirits books with that as well, like Six and Destiny. That Brother Felix, I think he came back because he had so many things to correct. Because he put some spirits in a mindset, so he had to come and assist. So let's think about how much we have to give back. Your tolerance toward the unfortunate will become the emotional measure of compassion you yourself will receive when your own time comes, for no one is blameless or perfect. So she concludes with this, that none of us on earth are perfect. And that is why we don't have the right to judge others, but to know that they are on a path which they chose, but for them to evolve, to help them, we need to work on ourselves, to have this tolerance towards everyone, to have they say grace, which means is to truly want to help the soul, because that is why we are here. Everyone on earth, those people, everyone that's sometimes very hard to get along with, because they make life very, very difficult. But they are our teachers for doing better, for working on all these beautiful things like tolerance and forgiveness. And for them, we have to thank God for entrusting those who are struggling so that we can also evolve better. But in our evolutionary path, we are more able to help others. Thank you so much for joining me today, and a happy new year to each and everyone. Thank you to all the members of Cardiac Radio, everyone who's always assisting us on this beautiful journey, because it's beautiful through all challenges, being together, always knowing that you can go to Cardiac Radio and there will be something that will uplift our spirit so that we can actually hear Jesus or hear God directly speaking to us. Thank you so much, beloved friends. Have a wonderful and safe day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Cardiac Radio, where we are always nourishing our souls.